Good morning, everybody. It's Vanessa with Clemens Crafts, and I wanted to show you in this video, ta-da, I actually did it. You guys, I started my own first junk journal. Okay, Cooper, we hear you. That's my pointer. She's sneezing because I'm talking and it's not to her. Anyway, oops, it's upside down. So this is the book that I covered, and I followed a few tutorials. All right, I'll show you how I did it. All right, so our journals spend most of their time closed, except when we're using them or decorating in them. So I wanted to create a cover that I would be able to look at and really love, or post in my shop. But either way, I felt that this cover was a good size. I had already removed the signatures again for the paper packs, and I appreciate everybody's support with those paper packs. I'm hoping to create a greater variety of packs soon. So just keep an eye on my shop or in my Facebook group, Clemens Craft and Chat. I do post availability in there quite often. So what you will need is an old book with a spine liner, which is that piece of brown or white paper still on the spine, masking tape or Tyvek tape, or fabric, one of those three, or all three, go ahead, scissors, and a craft knife. And so you take the old book and make sure it's one with the spine support still present, cut away all the excess frays and papers. And you can see, as my friend Becca points out in her video, the spine is soft, which honestly I didn't expect when I first started breaking down books. But Becca said it best when she said it's for the signatures. As you expand your signatures, it applies tension to those spines. So I thought that was really neat. I had not heard it explained that way, and it made perfect sense. So you're going to measure your spine length after you remove all of that excess. And here in the video, I'm still working around on the removing all that excess fray and stuff. It had sort of a mesh fabric underneath the paper. So I found that really kind of interesting. I'm not sure if all the books are like that. I don't think so, because I have broken down a couple of others that did not have that. But I imagine it was for additional reinforcement. But you can see there down the center of the spine that paper that is still there. And if you don't have one in there, Becca actually in her video does a really good job of showing, how you can add one in there. So it's really cool. And I'm just going to speed this up to get to the next part. All right, here it is. And so what I had to do was get a ruler because it did require measurement. I'm measuring right there the width of my spine. And as Nick explains, there are those little grooves to the left and to the right. So when I measure the total width of my book, I did take into account those little grooves, and I added, like, I think, a fourth, maybe less of an inch, give or take. The total width of my book, it actually came out to 13 3/8, and so I rounded it up to 13 5/8 is what I ended up doing to allow the fabric to press into those grooves really well. And I just wanted to point out at this juncture of the video that I did watch three major YouTube journalers while they were creating theirs. And I wanted to say, Nick the Booksmith begins with the spine. Pam from the Paper Outpost started hers on the outside front. And then Rach and Bella Crafts actually do their two inner panels and then the spine. They cover the left and the right panel, and then they do their spine. So to say all that, I have figured out that this is just personal preference. It really, I don't think particularly matters so long as you get the reinforcement of the spine. And because of that, I did choose fabric to use. I liked the idea of the tensile strength on that. And so I wanted to use fabric. Sorry about the jingling. That is the dog again. Cooper, that's enough. Anyway, sorry. Anyway, so I only had a little bit of fabric to choose from. I had a cotton tea towel that I had left over from when I made curtains, but it was very, very white. And I wanted a more natural earth tone to this journal, so I selected this almond colored muslin. Um, there I am trying to use my rotary. Okay, me and this rotary do not jive. Okay, first off, when I first got one, I did not know how sharp they were. This was a few months back, and man, right away I cut myself. Second off, I tried using it on this glass mat, didn't work. Then I tried to use it on my what is that called? Healable mat, the one that you can like do all, set rivets in and stuff, and it just self heals, right? Didn't work. And I don't know where I put my big, I have a huge fold out thing for cutting fabric. Anyway, couldn't find it. So I was like, forget it. I'm using the tried and trusty scissors, okay? But I did like on Nick the Booksmith, I love the way she put her ruler and then just use the rotary all the way up the side of the ruler. That's very effective. And if I had my organizing a little better, maybe I would have been more successful with that. But anyway, so here I am putting the fabric on the actual book, and you can see that it is too wide. So the 13 and whatever was a little bit too wide. And so here in a moment, I will show you where I actually just grabbed my scissors and started trimming down. The muslin does have some strips of thread that come off, so I did have to be careful with that. And here I am with the FabriTac, which was my glue of choice for fabric. I've been in several groups that recommend FabriTac whenever you are working with fabric. I know that there's a lot of others out there like the E6000, and I've heard a lot of different ones that you can use. That this is the one I had, and I used the finger smearing method as Pam describes in her video. It was pretty funny. And so then I'm just making sure that I cover all, especially those little grooves, trying to make sure there's an adhesive in there. I did notice also that Pam recommends you could use a glue stick here because you will be adding some sewn signatures. But I didn't use glue stick. I have not had luck with glue sticks. I've tried multiple brands. Unless I reinforce it with double-sided tape, like permanent tape. And I didn't want to add that bulk to the spine. And so I just went with FabriTac. And then I used this bone folder to just try to, it's not really a bone folder, it's like a plastic knife. But anyway, it came with my little kit over here. But anyway, so I used it to push into the grooves of the spine, and I also ended up using my fingers because, hey, you really can't beat, being able to feel and know that the fabric is really pressed in there well. And I did try to smear the glue around so that it would not bleed through the fabric so much. I did notice after all was said and done that even those places where you can see it was bleeding through, it dried completely clear. So I was really happy about that. And there I just making sure that everything's pressed down. And then in a moment you'll see that I go to the right and the left and make sure that I have those glued. I did, like I said, realize that I cut the fabric a little long. And so I used the edge of the book as a guide. And I'm in another group, and the sweet lady was like, oh, you measured? Like, I never measure. I just, so I thought, okay, eventually one day I will not have to use the ruler. So, and there is the spine with the fabric all laid in the grooves and ready to roll. And then I'm going to speed the rest of you know, doing the left and the right side of the journal, because I'm sure y'all have seen it 100 million times. I just ended up using my scissors, boom, you know, to trim it a little bit. And I wanted to say, while I have your rapt attention, thank you so much for supporting my channel. I do hope to be able to continue recording, working on this journal. I'm very excited about it. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to keep the journal or if I'm going to leave it sort of a neutral blank and offer it in my shop. We'll see. I'm not real sure because I may need to make a few before I start doing that. But thank you so much. And I wanted to say thank you, Becca, for your tutorial, and to Pam and to Nick and Rach and Bella Crafts. I really enjoyed learning and watching how everyone goes about this. Basically, it's up to you. I love they say there's no rules in journaling. So I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Don't forget, thumbs up.